67. Tonight, clear skies. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently 75.
Folks, I hope you listen in every Sunday night at 8 o'clock to the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. We'll talk about some local politics, national politics, all types of topics, all types of guests. That's 8 o'clock Sunday night, Edwin Lee Raymer Show. Talk to you then.
When it comes to your home, memories and sentimental value are priceless. Farrah Construction can remodel your home or can update your kitchen, bath, or other rooms. I'm Ron Hall. If you can dream it, Farrah Construction can turn it into reality. Call Farrah Construction at 615-893-6120. That's Farrah Construction. I'm Ron Hall. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Farrah Construction Company.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is The Roundtable, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters Award winner for Best Local Talk Show. A look at the news, views, politics, sports, and people shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into the Roundtable on this Wednesday morning, hump day, and hope everybody's doing okay today. Brian tells me that we're going to get a little bit of a break in the convection oven that is known as summertime in Murfreesboro. Yesterday was just ridiculous, and today it's going to chill out just a little bit. Is that right?
91 sound better
than 191. Yeah.
Well, that's what you get. 91 today. A little lower humidity. Our wind's coming out of the north, so it's not a cold front, but it's a front.
It's a front, yeah. And interesting. This whole last rain system we had was weird because that pattern we were in, where everything was moving in a different direction. You know, for a couple of days we had stuff moving east to west, and then we had stuff dropping down for several days. So it was kind of, I guess, where the low was in relation to us, I guess, that had a lot to do with that, where the prevailing winds were coming.
Correct. And where that high pressure was, it kind of moved from when it was really, really hot over the Midwest, and as it moved east, it kind of changed the direction of the ridge and how that stuff came in here, and afternoon showers. And we had such bad weather yesterday, a likely tornado in Greene County, Tennessee, last night of all things. So
didn't see that coming.
No. So you never know about Mother Nature in the summertime.
That is exactly right. Couple of notes here before we get going. Pettus Read is our guest today. Number one, early voting is still going on, and it will go on through Saturday at the different voting centers around Rutherford County. And if you have not voted, go ahead, do that to avoid the lines on Election Day. The good news is turnout is up across the board from everything we're reading. The bad news is it's not going to be where we'd all like it to see, or like to see it. But still, it's good that turnout is up. Number two, putting on my Blue Raider hat, we were in Nashville last night for the Blue Raider Blitz. Had a very nice crowd at Fat Bottom Brewing, and Coach Derek Mason, 5 different football players, Nick McDevitt and Matt Insel were all on it. So that was going on. Tonight we'll be in Shelbyville at the Blue Ribbon Circle Club at the Celebration Grounds. And then tomorrow at lunchtime we'll be in Smyrna at the town center and part of the Rotary Club meeting there. And then we'll have a big finishing up event tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7:30. Everybody's invited over to Cedar Glade Brews right behind Chewy's off Broad Street. They'll have a live band. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff going on, and of course coach and players, and we'll have a couple of men's basketball players over there tomorrow night. So invite you all to come out and take part. Now, Pettus Read is with us, winding up a 12-year career on the county commission. Welcome in this morning.
Well, glad to be here. It's
as we like to say, it's better to be seen than viewed, right?
That's exactly right. I'm glad to be here, glad to be anywhere, I guess, Chip. But always good to be with you. And looking forward to this fall being over there and in the stadium and seeing what we got with the Blue Raiders. And I've got my tickets. I've got my same 06 on the 12-yard line.
There you go.
On the 12th row up there. I keep getting these requests for me to move up into the nice place up there where it's cool. They got food and all this stuff. I said, it's not a football game, guys. I said, I'd like to be down there where I can hear them hit. I'd like to be down there and hear the coach chew them out and all this sort of thing. I said, that's a football game. That's what I call it.
That's good. And they got a lot. Well, the good thing is they got a lot of options. If you like the indoor where you don't have to worry about the weather and all that, that's fine. But then there's a lot of seats out there where you can hear it all and hear the band and all of that. So that's all going on. Now Pettus and I go back a long way to his days working with the Tennessee Farm Bureau, and one of the things that I will always be grateful for is he invited me over one time to judge a chicken and dumpling contest, and I will always be grateful for that. That was you can get a lot of assignments and they're not always good. That one was good.
I have people today that still talk about that chicken dumpling contest. We actually wrote a book from that chicken dumpling contest. It all began by the fact that I went to a Tennessee and Alabama football game down in Birmingham. And when we were coming back, I stopped at a place that a lot of people are familiar with that have chicken and dumplings. And when I went in there, I ordered chicken and dumplings. Well, when the chicken and dumplings come out, I told the waitress, I said, evidently the chicken was wearing rubber boots when he walked through these dumplings, because I can't find a chicken anywhere in this thing, and I can't even taste a chicken. So I wrote a column about that, and people started sending me recipes for chicken and dumplings. So we said, hey, I just wonder how many recipes there are for chicken and dumplings. Well, I wrote another column about that, and we turned it into a contest. We got something over 200 recipes for chicken and dumplings. And then we got recipes for dumplings for everything else. I mean, I didn't know you could make dumplings out of some things. And so we had a contest, and we brought it down to, I think we had 5 contestants from across the state of Tennessee. Lodge Cookware got in on it, and we had a pretty good crowd, and they made them from scratch on the patio of Tennessee Farm Bureau over there in Columbia. We brought you back home.
That's right, you did.
And we had that contest.
I can't remember who won, but I remember there was not a bad batch in the group.
Of all people to win was a Mrs. Farmer.
Of course. Yeah.
Mrs. Farmer. And we put all of those into a book, and then the book was published. Just the other day, somebody brought me one of those books and said, did you write this book? I said, well, my name's on it, isn't it? And I said, yeah, we published that book from that contest. And he said, you know where I got this book? I said, no. He said, I ordered it from England. Said he got all the way to England on eBay over there, and somebody was selling it. I said, well,
they'd eaten all the chicken and dumplings they needed over in England, I guess.
I said, well, I guess they wanted it. But that was a fun time. And, when I was looking for a judge, I said, I can't think of anybody better than Chip.
Well, you must have known that I had a German grandmother who could absolutely do it with chicken and dumplings. And again, that was much appreciated. Now, we're obviously one of the biggest reason we're here today is we're going to be talking about your career and your tenure as a county commissioner here in Rutherford County is coming to a close. You chose not to seek re-election this year, and kind of do a little look back, but I'm never not going to take the opportunity to talk about your time at the Tennessee Farm Bureau because you were communications director. Is that
communication director? I became.
I was gonna say that was probably you followed Murray Miles.
Murray Miles. I couldn't have thought of anybody better to follow.
and I'm old enough to Murray's daughter and I graduated from high school together, and I remember getting up and getting ready for school and would see, or on Saturday mornings, would see Farm Digest with Murray Miles. And so my tenure with the communication office at Farm Bureau goes from Murray to you to Lewis Maddox, who I saw Saturday night with Lee Maddox with his son Lewis Saturday night at the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. So
that's right, and Lewis now is with George Plasta.
That's correct. That's correct.
I listen to him every afternoon.
Yeah, Lewis is doing a good job. He's a good young broadcaster.
What's interesting, every time I look at that, I said, I remember the day they brought you home from the hospital
you
when you was born.
That's right.
But you think about Murray.
And Mary, his daughter, lives here in Murfreesboro now.
Right, I see her every now and then. But when I started with Murray, I thought I had walked into the greatest place in the world for communications, and I can remember riding different places with Murray, and we'd pull up for gasoline. People get out of the car and say, "Oh, as a kid, I used to watch you on television."
Mm-hmm.
And I used to look at these people and I'd say, "Murray, how old are you?"
Yeah.
I said, "That's an old man telling you." As a kid, they used to watch you on television. Oh, it would just really get him. But he wrote for Miles Around.
Yeah.
That was his column. And
and yours was Read All About It.
Read All About It.
Yeah.
But I remember one gentleman said, "Well, here's for Miles Around," and looked at me and said, "Here's for Miles to Go."
Yeah.
And I was 44 years at the Tennessee Farm Bureau. Actually, I started with Farm Bureau here in Rutherford County with Robert Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Rose picked me out and groomed me, got me started. I went to work with the state organization.
People will know the Robert Rose Drive here.
Robert Rose Drive, that's the man right there. He was some more individual. He was one special individual. But I was with Farm Bureau that long until I retired. And when I retired, I said, I'm going to do something different. So I guess I jumped out of the skillet into the fire. I ran for public office.
You did. One quick thing about before we move into the political side of things and doing that. How long did it take you to figure out what a reach you had with Farm Bureau? Because right now, if you're a member of Farm Bureau or have Farm Bureau insurance or whatever, you get the magazine Tennessee Farm and Home. It's got like 650,000 people and that get that magazine, and that, I would say probably the only magazine that comes close in the state of Tennessee is the Tennessee magazine that's put out by the electric cooperatives.
By the electric cooperative. And a lot of people would get those mixed up at times. But the Tennessee Home and Farm, to be honest with you and straightforward, was somewhat of an idea of mine. Mm-hmm. After Murray stepped down and I became the director, all we had was what's called the Tennessee Farm Bureau News. It had been around since 1921, and I was the editor of it. I said, I wanted some way. I said, we've got all these members. I want a way for them to feel like they are a part of the farming community. I want them to appreciate farmers, to understand agriculture. And I want a magazine that's it's not totally advertisement. It's something that gives them something to read and understand about agriculture. So the first prototype that we designed, I carried it to a national organization meeting, and everybody laughed. They said, that will never happen. I spent 5 years with the board of directors selling this to them. It was very expensive to do that magazine. And I've been a part of some of that before on one-offs. Yeah,
that's not a cheap undertaking.
No, it's not. So I can never forget one board meeting. I went in there, and the board members are all made up of farmers, and they wanted me to do strictly telling about the farmers' hardships and things of this type and all this sort of thing. So finally, I told I took a big risk, and I told this board member, who actually he could very easily have fired me right quick. But I told him, I said, sir, do you know anything about working at Bridgestone in Murfreesboro? He said, no, I don't know a thing about making tires. I said, well, wonder if somebody from Bridgestone was telling you about all their hardships all the time. Would you want to read that? No. I said, well, they don't want to hear about your hardships on the farm, but they want to hear your good things. And that's
your
what
success stories.
And I said, this magazine is all about that. He said, I never thought about that. He said, let the boy do that.
Yeah.
and I'll never forget saying, let the boy do that. And I was ready to go. And we did that. And a secret to a magazine, once it is printed and is successful for 5 years, it'll go. So that was all the way back to 2000. And that thing has been successful this long. And
did it start in 2000? Or it seems like it started before that.
No, it basically started really going about that time.
Okay.
We tried different times, and we've worked with it, but it's really been about that time, and it's been it was a fun time. And when I stepped down in 2013 and turned it over to Lee Maddox and the group, they have continued to do an outstanding job with it. But you know, when you write an article like Read All About It, my picture shows up all the time. I was already my article went out every week. Mm-hmm. And it went to something over 52 newspapers across the state of Tennessee. And that was all the way from Dyersburg to Mountain City. And then it hit some of the major newspapers. And then it was going all the way up to St. Louis, going out to San Francisco, and then it was going over to England.
Wow.
And it was going everywhere. And I would go and speak across different places across the state. And we would sit there and eat somewhere, and my wife would often says, well, they're looking at you. I said, who's looking at me? Said, your peeps over there, they're all looking at you. I said, and then I'd go over and talk to them. I didn't realize when you're going in that many newspapers and you have your picture.
Yeah, right up there by the headline.
Yeah, people recognize you. And it was
hey, that's back when people, actually had the hard copy of the newspaper.
That was their news. It's not social media today.
Yeah.
But it was sort of fun. It was fun doing that. It was fun writing. A lot of people said, how did you write a story every week? I said I had deadlines and it was desperation. That's what it was. But it was fun. And somebody asked me the other day, said, well, what are you going to do once you get away from the county commission? I said, I'm going back to writing.
Start writing again.
I said, I'm writing again. And I told some of the commissioners, I said, y'all have given me so much material.
I was going to say, if you wanted to write a book, some people could be nervous.
Well, I have told them, I said, I'm in the process of writing a book called There Once Was a Rutherford. And I said, it's going to be talking about some of my adventures. And I said, I'm going to name names. Are y'all ready? And, we've talked about several different things, and I'm looking at some things like that in writing again. I would love to bring back Uncle Sid and Aunt Sadie and see what they say about the county commission. Yeah. That would be so much fun. But Uncle Sid and Aunt Sadie actually belongs to Tennessee Farm Bureau.
They were characters that you invented.
I invented, and they created. But it's within their contract to hold those. But I have permission to use them in books. I've gotten through the Farm Bureau, but I may have to invent some more characters. I'm capable of that. I want to apologize to the people about my voice. I have been in the hospital with a tube down my throat last week.
You sound good today, though.
But I'll get it all back. But it's the commission was something special to me. The reason I wanted to even be in the commission. I had a great-grandfather that was in the county commission, and then my grandfather was there too. And then I wanted to follow their tracks. They all were in the same district where I am now, but I wanted to do something to repay back what Rutherford County has given me. Mm-hmm. And some people say, well, that's sort of chinchy, what you're saying, what you're talking about. Said everybody says that. I said, well, I mean it. I said, I have no reason to do anything else here other than to represent the people of where I live, a Rockvale, Eagleville, Midland area, and to do something there and to work for the people of the county. And I said, that's what I want to do. But I said, I do not want to stay there forever. I said, I'm one of these people that sort of believes in, I guess you say, term limits. I said, you can stay there too long till you wear out your welcome. And I said, you want to come in there with your fresh ideas, present what you want to do, 4 years, learn what's going on, 4 years, try to accomplish what you're wanting to do, and then the next 4 years, make sure you've got it done, and then get on your horse and go back to the farm.
Yeah. All right. Pettus Read is our guest today, as he will be retiring from the county commission here in Rutherford County as this election is taking place, and there will be someone else representing his district out there in that part of the county. We will take a break. More here on the Roundtable on WGNS.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
This is Austin Maxwell, and I'm asking for your vote for Murfreesboro City Council. As your councilman, I serve to serve you. Over the last 4 years, we've invested $140 million in roads, reduced crime 3 years straight, retained police and fire personnel, and taken action to hold the landfill owners accountable for our local environment. But our work isn't done. Early voting is July 17th through August 1st, and Election Day is August 6th.
Paid for by Austin Maxwell from Murfreesboro City Council. Austin Maxwell, Treasurer.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit ChooseChip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
At Learning Zone, our teachers are education engineers, building up eager learners with any CPA-accredited STEAM learning. We're now accepting fall enrollments for infants through pre-K and have a special offer valid through August 30th for new families. Classes are filling up fast, so book your tour right away. Contact Learning Zone at 615-695-1667. That's 615-695-1667.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
I help people at the most difficult times in their lives try to enforce their legal rights. Practiced law in Nashville for over 30 years. Well, we start with the facts. We need to understand what happened. And if the claim appears to have merit, then we're going to say, yes, we can help. I would encourage anybody who has been injured and they believe it's somebody else's fault to reach out to us. We're happy to give answers. Call the law offices of John Day for your free consultation.
Now, Good Neighbor Events. Here's Bart Walker.
This weekend is the big tax-free weekend. Don't let it slip away. And on Monday of next week, August 3rd, it's the Rutherford County Beekeepers Monthly Meeting. 7 o'clock next week, Monday, August 3rd, in the auditorium at the Lane Agri Park. While we're talking about next week, that'll bring Friday Night Live, August 7th, on the Murfreesboro Square. It includes the Borough Art Crawl and music with third-party thieves starting at 6:30. That's a week away, Friday, August 7th, on the historic Murfreesboro Square. And thank you, Main Street Murfreesboro, for having this on the square. And the Red Cross is still critically low on blood, so please give the gift of life. Give blood at the Red Cross. Phone 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. We're in the final rounds of early voting. Take advantage of early voting. That continues through Saturday. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
High temperatures reach up to 91 today under mainly sunny skies. Lows dip down to about 67. Tonight, clear skies. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Right now, 78.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. If you've recently changed your phone number or email, make sure you update your details at MTE.com. It's the best way for MTE to reach you quickly with important outage updates.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable here on this Wednesday. Pettus Read joins us as he is winding up a career as a county commissioner, and we talked about his alter ego back in the day when he was at Tennessee Farm Bureau, and he kind of gave us a little bit of an insight of why he decided to even dip his toe into the political waters, and you did that, and you came and did that at a time when this county was going through the most incredible amount of growth that we've ever seen, and the county commission, and the city council of Murfreesboro, and the town of Smyrna and Eagleville, those other governments, you guys are in a position to where you never want your county or your city going backwards. You always want to be moving ahead and growing, but there's always different philosophies of how to manage that growth as you've gone forward. Has that been one of the biggest challenges as a county commissioner over those 12 years, is how to deal with growth and still maintain the type of life that you've grown to know and love?
Absolutely, Chip. Actually, I started on the Planning Commission in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
It's before I'd even retired. I got a call from Ernest Burgess, former Mayor Burgess, asking me would I be willing to serve on the Planning Commission. And that was right after I had lost my wife, and I thought, I need something else to do. I would be glad to do that, and I'd always was interested in that. See, my degree is in plant and soil science, so I was already somewhat in that direction. That's always been conservation, things like that, has always been in my background. So I started on the Planning Commission there, and I got to be very much familiar with the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got involved with the Planning Commission. I saw a lot there happening right there. When I did retire, decide to run for commissioner. The interesting thing is my thoughts about running for commissioner at the very beginning. At the time that I had thought about that, you didn't have to declare parties. And then just as I do that, they make the change.
Mm-hmm.
You have to declare what party you're with. Well, if you know anything about Tennessee Farm Bureau and its employees, we were never allowed to actually go out and pick a party.
Right.
We were considered nonpartisan.
Correct.
And so for 44 years, I was always nonpartisan. I was always taught, and I'd say taught, I wasn't demanded, but I was taught to work with everybody. If the Democrat over here has a good idea for farmers, work with him. If the Republican has a good idea, work with him. And it always worked. And
that's why I'm curious that, because you said, 12 years ago or whatever, that became you had to declare. I've always wondered in local elections, whether it's commissioner, school board, whatever it is, why is that a good? That never has really seemed to be a good idea to me.
Well, since I'm no longer running, I can actually make a lot of people mad or whatever. In fact, I just wrote a little post into the and Facebook yesterday, but I can never forget that day I walk into the election commission and she says, "Okay, what do you want to be?" I said, put me down as Christian. She said, "Well, that's nice, but we don't have that position." I said, "Well, you should." And she said, "Well, which do you want to be, Democrat or Republican?" And I stood there and thought and thought. I said, "I've never had to come forward and say that." I said, "I've been in the nation's capital. I've been there with congressmen. I've been there with senators." And I said, "I've been able to talk to all of them." And I said, "Here I am now having to declare who I am and what I am." And I said, "It's hard for me to decide." But I said, "I do know if I decide on one, and I know how I have voted, because when I've voted, I voted both ways."
Me too.
I have voted both ways.
Yeah.
And I knew whenever it got into that executive committee, they were going to tear me up because you hadn't voted enough this way, you hadn't voted enough that way. You are a Democrat. No, you're a Republican. I said, "I'm an independent." She said, "Mr. Read, you can't win." I said, "What? You can't win." "Well, I'm Scotch-Irish. You don't tell me I can't do something." I said, "I'm independent." So
you ran as an independent?
I ran as an independent. It's that first time I ran as against another independent and a Republican. I won. So I went on the commission like that. I saw all these different things that were happening out there in my district. I saw what was happening everywhere as far as growth was, and I decided there are things where I started on the public safety committee, and I was on the school, and I was on the health and education, and then I also remained on the.
Were you on budget and finance?
No, I was not on any of those.
Okay.
But I had the mayor Burgess was mayor at that time. He had pulled me back off of the planning commission, but then Will Jordan stepped down and he put me back. So I was seeing all of these different things there, and I thought public safety is the one that needs some help. They're having to deal with the growth that we're having and what we're having in the county here. And then I also saw out in my area all the other things that we're having. The schools was having tremendous, that we had to have growth. That was the very first, that first term was when Rockvale High School come back out. Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I remember they were looking at different places for that high school. They needed another high school. And Don Odom was the school superintendent. And I told Don, I said, "I know we're needing a new high school. They can't decide over here. They can't decide over here." But I said, "Don, I would love to see it at Rockvale and become another of the old high school.
Community-based.
To go back to the community." Yeah. And I said, "I think I've got the folks out there, we can bring it back as the old high school, redeem it like it was." But I said, "You already got the pad. The pad's already been built out there when you built the middle school. We're ahead out there." But I said, "I want to see something different in this school." And he said, "Well, what are y'all looking at?" I said, "I want a kid to go in that school that not only gets an education, but if he doesn't want to go into college, he can get a vocation." So we built that school. that purposely. We put things in there that wasn't in the other schools.
Mm-hmm.
We put an ambulance program in there. We got one
like
of the
an EMS type?
An EMS program.
Mm-hmm.
We got a box off of one of the ambulances here, put it in a classroom, and built a full-scale ambulance in that classroom.
Yeah.
Lights, everything to it.
Yeah.
So we got kids going through an ambulance program. We've got not computer program building, but computer repair.
Ah.
So they're doing that. And then we got all the other things. We got mechatronics. We've got home building. We've got central heat and air. We've got all those things in that school.
Jim Thompson had a little bit to do with that, didn't he?
Jim Thompson. Well, I've got to admit, Jim Thompson's one of my best friends.
Yeah, I know you. I know he is.
So they get tickled now. They call Jim Thompson, and now we got Brian Hercules out there.
That's
He's
right.
with us now too. They call it the Rockvale Mafia.
That's right.
And but
I'm glad that I consider all three of you and those other two friends. So there you go.
But it's everything has been done for the betterment of the people and the community, and that's what that is. Just day before yesterday, we got a fire engine at that high school.
Uh-huh.
We now have a fire science program. We're teaching firefighters inside that high school now.
I can tell by the look on your face that's something that you're really proud of.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting when you look and see it materializing. That's the only school in Rutherford County now that has a fire science program. I just see it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, if I was still on that commission, I would want, not necessarily another school. I would love to see a vocational school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say we got kids that everybody does not want to go to college. I understand it, and I say a vocational school would be wonderful for Rutherford County.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you, we had Jessica Supicon, the new principal at Holloway High School up here, which
Yep.
she and her assistant principal did a terrific job of talking about that and kind of dispelling some myths about that school that I think a lot of stereotypes
Absolutely.
that people may have in their head. But I could see that idea you're talking about. That would be a great fit for Holloway High School.
True,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I would gladly support something like that.
Yeah.
But the next term, I ended up on steering. I left health and ed and went into that. But while I was on the planning commission, I saw the growth that we're having there, and then we worked on several different things there. We worked on Plan Rutherford, and of course Plan Rutherford has had its ups and downs and that sort of thing. But you know, I'm an individual, and I told you I'm Scotch-Irish.
Hard-headed.
And hard-headed as could be. and surely this year, they sort of hit us a lick over in the commission. But I don't give up. I don't say, okay. I come off of an old rock farm out there in Rockvale, and my daddy taught me right quick is that, you got rocks, but you plant between there. You use the dirt between, and you grow what you can. And we're making Plan Rutherford work within the Planning Commission for what we have to do now and making it go there. And I was just telling you a little ago, we've come up with some ideas that can help with the character of the rural area. That is also is getting some great play with the developers in this county called conservation development, where we can actually use the farmland and keep it as it is.
Well, you just showed me a little flyer about that,
Yep.
and some of the key points. I think, and again, you go back to running as an independent. There's some compromise here that kind of, what you've told me, kind of works for both sides. Who have been
works for both the developers, the realtors, and also works for the county.
Correct.
But what we're looking at, we're in development part of this, but we're getting some good comment out of this. But what it does, it basically takes a piece of farmland. We don't have as large of a lots. We reduce them down where everybody's getting what they want, but we also keep the trees, we keep the streams, we keep the some of the woodland where
the original character of the property.
Of what it looks like, and everybody seems to be happy with what you've got. It's going to take planning to make it work correctly. So when you get lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah.
And I think it can be done that way. I won't be there doing it. I'll be on the sidelines cheering them, answering any questions they might have. Growth is only thing that's going to happen. I mean, I have people all the time said, "You've got to stop the growth." I said, "Well, do we put the gate at your house or where?"
That's why I always tell people, do you want the gate up before or after you got here?
Well, that's
right.
I've told people, I said, it's really been interesting at planning when we have the public comments. We have these people come up here, I don't want this, I don't want that. And it's usually been people, I hate to say this, but I can say it now. I'm not running for nothing. But it's usually people who have just gotten here and they don't want nobody else to come. Mm-hmm. I said, I want to protect it. I want to protect what I got. I've been here 77 years. I was born here. Yeah. My family got here in 1802. They were the first sign of the growth. Mm-hmm. They come here in 1802 in a covered wagon. They stopped out there where I'm at right now. I can't ever figure out if that's where they were going or if that's where the horse died.
Yeah.
But that's where.
Either way, that's how it ended up.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm still there on that same road. And I get tickled that people said, these people are coming in here from California. Well, my folks come in here from Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I said,
everybody comes from somewhere.
Do I get mad? Yeah. I said, before them, they come here from Scotland. And I said, and they wasn't thought a whole lot of them back then either. But I said, folks, the good Lord only made so much land, and we got to work with it. But people seem to continue to want to come here, and we got some good things, and we have to work with it and make it work.
Absolutely. Pettus Read joining us today. We'll take a break, be back with our final segment right after this here on the Roundtable on WGNS.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
First Shot transforms Rutherford County youth. Coach Andy Herzer leads dynamic basketball camps and clinics, building skills and character since 2003. Kids dive into exciting STEM projects, sparking creativity through hands-on coding, art, and dance. They elevate their mind, spirit, and body in summer and winter programs. Visit FirstShotTN.org today to learn more. First Shot, where kids gain, elevate, and develop.
When the weather turns bad, minutes, even seconds matter.
This is an early heads up for southern Rutherford County.
Rutherford Weather brings you live radar and expert meteorologist insight, giving you the early heads up when storms threaten.
A lot of areas are going to see some impacts from this storm.
From analysis to live camera views, we keep you informed before, during, and after the storm.
I think the vast majority of the hail with this now is going to be quarter to perhaps golf ball size.
Rutherford Weather. Stay ahead of the storm.
Tennessee's 4th District deserves a fighter, not a career politician. I'm Rocky Jones. As a retired Air Force veteran, federal emergency manager, volunteer firefighter, and local farm owner, I've spent my life answering the call. From defending our nation to managing major crises, I have the proven experience the incumbent lacks. Early voting starts July 17th. Vote Rocky Jones for Congress in the Republican primary on August 6th. Paid for by Rocky Jones for Congress, Rocky Jones Treasurer.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies at the good old
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Final segment with Pettus Read, who is winding up a 12-year career on the county commission, and we'll dive into a couple of things here. We kind of touched on playing Rutherford, and number one, it was to have an idea and to get it from start to finish, and and the chances are in any government idea like that, what you start with and what you end with is probably not going to be the same, but it certainly has put a lot of things in place that are going to be part of how the future of this county is going to go from a planning standpoint for a long time.
You're looking at almost 5 years of work.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, there are still individuals out here that are still looking at what we've done and some of the materials that we've come up with. Yes, you're totally right. It's still there. I mean, it's still a solid program. We're still using it at the planning department, and it's something that I'm quite proud of what we did. The thing was, there were little bits and pieces of it that certain groups did not want. And the first time in my 12 years I had ever seen professional lobbyists on the floor of the county commission. Now, I'll just be honest with you. I had never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things within the county commission that I don't think is appropriate and should be there. Now, I just don't. When we just mentioned the fact of the party system, as a county commissioner, now, the second time I run as an independent. The third time I run as a Republican, because I'm about as conservative as you can find.
Right.
I mean, where I grew up, and I grew up on a farm out there, you had to be conservative. You had to be saving. You had to do what you had to. And I'm very much that way. So I went with the Republican Party this second time. I mean, the third time around, and I'm very supportive of what they do. But I personally think, as a commissioner, I have never turned anyone down to help them because they were Democrat. I have never seen a Republican sheriff not arrest somebody because they were Republican and not help somebody because they were a Democrat. And when you get into the local area and you start fighting these fights over party, I put out a thing yesterday about what George Washington said on his farewell speech. And in that farewell speech, he basically said, be very careful with the party system or it can destroy you. And I thought, what did he know that we didn't know?
Right. Sound like a pretty smart guy.
Yeah. So, when you get down to it, and see, now we got the school board fighting this thing too. But I just look at it on the floor of the commission up here. We don't do things basically by party. It's what is needed in an area. What is the responsibility we have as commissioners? It's not on what the Republican Party needs or what the Democratic Party needs. It's what the people of this county need.
Right. Now, I can't imagine sitting in there as a county commissioner and knowing that you have the responsibility putting in. All of a sudden, you get the word, okay, we need a new school, or in this right now, I mean, because that's permanent. That's this county commission's having to deal with that all the time. Right now, we're going through the need for the jail.
For the jail.
And to look at the numbers that you have to look at, and to take on that responsibility, you're going to have people who on either, they're either going to like what you do or don't like what you do or whatever. But no matter what, you are still in that seat. What is it? The man in the arena. You've been a man in the arena for 12 years, but to have to deal with that responsibility with those vast amounts of money, and to know that you need to do it the best way you can, and that however many of you there are on the commission have to all look at it in that sense.
It is. That's a lot like out here on the football field. Why did the coach call that play?
Oh yeah, because you got however many thousands of folks.
You got all these other coaches
that are
here.
Geniuses.
Yeah, up here. And after the jail vote right there, I started reading those things, and sometimes I just sit there and laugh. And I said, I wanted to call him up and said, hey, the sheriff's coming to get you tonight. You're going to spend the night in the jail up here. I want you to actually see, and I want you to make your decisions tomorrow.
Yeah.
12 years I've been on public safety. For 12 years I have been in that jail when the elevator didn't work, and we had to come up with some way to pay for an elevator to pay. Now, people don't understand there are towers in that thing. Only way to get the prisoners moved, the only way to get the prisoners fed is elevators up and down.
Mm-hmm.
When one doesn't work, you go to the other one. You overload that one. When that one doesn't work, you go to another one. So there's problems. I've been out there when the dryer caught on fire, and we had to come up with a new dryer. That has to go into the budget. You have to figure out, okay, how do you pay for that? I've been out there in that jail when in the control area where equipment is setting, like what we see right here, they had to put it on sandbags because water was coming up through the floor. Now you imagine this equipment with water sitting under it. That jail sits on a marsh, and there's water out there, so we had to deal with that. There are cracks, there's things of this type too. So for 12 years, I told them other night up there at the commission, I said the average prisoner stays out there 27 days. I said, I've been here 12 years. I think I've served my time. I've been in that jail many times. I've eaten supper there. I've done all this sort of thing. But I said, you soon see some of the problems. You see some of the things. I challenged many times all the commissioners to go through the Sheriff's Academy, where you learn something about how this is done and what it goes through there. It's not just the prisoners that's in that facility. Our sheriff's department operates out of that jail. All these deputies have to operate there. And it's not the most glamorous place in the world to work out of. When you can go over here at the Murfreesboro Sheriff's Jail, the police department, and see their facility in comparison to what we have out here. So, there are a lot of pros and cons, and you have to sit there and take your finger and push that button. And you have to make that decision. It's a very expensive decision. It's a very this sort of thing. So it's easy. It's easy to sit out here on Facebook and say what I'll do.
Right.
The thing is, you haven't been in the rooms where you've seen the figures. You've seen there. 2.5 years, I sat on a committee listening to professionals. There is a person that does nothing but goes and studies jail's conditions and things from the University of Tennessee. We've had a full report done on that jail, and it basically says get out.
Yeah.
So, we've looked at all of these things and all the things. So we have a little more information than just watching it on television.
Yep. Okay, we're going to have a new mayor in the county.
Yeah.
We're going to have a new sheriff.
Yeah.
We're going to have several new commissioners.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them at this time?
I don't know if I'd give him advice. I'm offering my prayers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess as much. You know, my advice is to take it slow and easy, take a look at everything, take a step back. As I said earlier, this first 4 years is learning. All they have is 4 years right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have put together a pretty good plan to advance forward to where they are right now. I think they've got something to work with. My biggest part of advice would be is use the word compromise.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anything we had a problem with at the very beginning is that we did not work together as we should sometimes. Compromise is vital. It's important. As I said at the beginning, I've worked for 44 years as nonpartisan, and it was compromising.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how can we fix this? I was down in the state legislature working in the Capitol Hill Press Corps for many years, and I sat there and watched a lot of these old head representatives and senators. They were Republican, they were independent, they were senators.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd see them step outside those doors and say, hey, what can we do to make this work?
Mm-hmm.
Compromise is a vital thing when you're trying to work for the people.
Yep. Last question, and I'll use our good friend Boots Donnelly's old phrase that he would put every day on the itinerary for his football players. The last thing on the thing was, how do you want to be remembered? And I ask you that question.
The way I want to be remembered is he tried to do his best for the people. And that's the main thing I went in there for, and that's the main thing I wanted to accomplish. One of the biggest things I'm very proud of is a